everyone, and welcome to our Mooc system project report. We are diving this presentation between two teams. We are team 01, and there we go. Here are our 6 developers who worked on this project. Lily is our tutor, providing direction throughout our development process. Our presentation is divided into 4 parts: a brief introduction to the project background, an overview of technology stacks, a demonstration of key features, and finally some acknowledgements. In recent years, online education has expanded significantly. Mooc platforms are particularly popular due to their flexibility and efficiency. Our system is designed to enhance online learning, ensure secure access, and offer powerful course management tools. At this stage, we developed the backend management system primarily for admin-level operations. Now I'll hand it over to Michael, who will talk about our technology stack and how we structured the database model.
Okay, thanks, Andy. And hello everyone. I'm Michael, and hope you guys remember me. And here is the design of our front end. So we can see that from the we also of course we use the React as our core logic. But building on the React, we grab a lot of existing libraries, for example, like MUI or OnDesign, like these pre-built components. And we use these components, and we grab these components and we write the React logic based on that. Of course, we use the Redux to manage the global and the remote states, and also to handle the data flows between the client and the server. As for the Formic and YAP, and we use Formic to handle the form submission, and we use YAP to write schema to validate forms. And as everybody knows, we also use the Anxious, which is a very handy library. And we use Anxious to handle API calls, especially we use the interceptors. Last but not least, we use the React router, which is very useful and convenient for single-page application routing. It's worth mentioning that this Mooc system is the front end and back end are separated and detached. So we developed the back end in the first place. Then gradually once we finish building all the APIs, and then we'll gradually move on to the front end page, and by using the libraries and the frameworks that I just mentioned before. Next slide, please. Okay, here's an example of our MUI and OnDesign. So as we can see from the left-hand side, we can see that's the page we have already built. And we can see the button and the page. We grab those existing and pre-built libraries from the MUI, and also we can see the left button. We can see there's a tree table, which is very important in our project. We get this tree table, the component from the OnDesign. Next slide, please. Okay, here comes a very important part. For all the form submission and the form submission and form validation, we use the Formic and the YAP. And without further ado, and I think from the left graph, we use the Formic instead of using the traditional way of handle data input like controlled elements, uncontrolled elements. We use Formic to run everything together. So it's a very centralized and very convenient way to handle data submission. And on the right side, we can see that we use a write schema in the YAP. And for data validation, for example, the username is required, and the password must be at least 4 characters long. Next slide, please. Okay, here comes the very important part. Everybody knows that we use Redux. And I remember, as far as I remember, we use the 8 slices and to handle the data, the remote data and the local data. especially in the authentication part, we wrote the login and logout functions, and we grab those states and put in the store, and we grab those data from the store, and when we use it in the individual component. Next slide, please. Okay, as I mentioned before, Anxious is known by everyone. So here is how we use Anxious library. So once we get the JW token from the backend, every time when we want to send a HTTP request, we use the interceptor to put the token in the header. So that's why we don't have to every time when we send the HTTP request, we don't have to handle the header over again. So we just handle it once. Next slide, please. So here comes to the backend design. Of course, this is the .NET project, so that's why we use the ASP.NET Core as our core framework for RESTful API design for controllers and services. And then we use the Entity Framework Cores as our object relationship mapping between the data model and database tables. So we use the code first. We use the code first manner first instead of using the model first or other two types of way to handle the entity framework for this framework. We also use LinkQ to query database. Previously, we maybe as a Java developer, we have to write a little bit about SQL, language to get query database. But now since we have LinkQ, we don't have to do that anymore. So here come to two important components, which is AutoFact. AutoFact is used to automatically handle the dependency injection. For example, if we want to use an instance from a service, we just use AutoFact. We just put a lot of services class instance, just direct inject those instances into the .NET Frame core, and as we want to use it, we just get the instance immediately. Of course, AutoMapper is very useful for handling the DTO to data model transformation. So vice versa, if you want to transfer data models back to the DTOs, and we also use the AutoMapper. Here comes a very important part, which is the role-based access control SKU endpoints. As I have watched maybe 2 teams demonstration, they all use existing built-in models to handle the role-based access control. Rather than doing that, we implement the role-based access control in the Mooc system manually, and I will elaborate on in the later slides. So for the CAPP, and which is a custom authorized policy provider, and this is the very important provider for the backend. So for example, if a hacker gets the token, and without this library, then I think the hacker would very easily to hack into the backend. So which I will talk more in detail in later on. And nlog is used for handle all the error information for debugging. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. Here's our role-based access control and database design. As we can see from here, and we have 6 tables, and we have 7 tables. So we have user, we have menu, we have carousel, we have row. But the most important, maybe 5 tables are user table, menu table, and also the row table, and 2 join, and as well as 2 join tables, which are user row table and the row menu table. Okay, next slide, please. Apart from the front end and back end design, and also the database we have already used some other tools like Jira, like SourceTree and the Git to handle the version control, and also use Jira to manage the task progress. For Conference, we use for knowledge and information sharing. Swagger, we use Swagger to write documents and backend documents for testing. And for Toast, and we just use Toast to generate the notification messages. Next slide, please. Okay, here apart from those very important parts, and here comes to the unit and integration test. And for the backend, we implement both unit test and integration test. For unit test, we use the NUnit, which is a very commonly used testing framework for ASP.NET. And we also use the Mooc for library that mimic interface and virtual methods, and also use the in-memory database. So for our testing. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, here comes the 2 slides for the 2 examples for our unit and integration test with a 100 test coverage. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, here's the implementation for the project, the key features and demos, and especially for the role-based access control. Okay, we used authentication. We use a JWT token for authentication because previously, and maybe in old ways, that we store the session ID in the backend. Now we don't have to do it anymore, so we just use the stateless authentication JSON Web Token to send JSON Web Token to the client. The authentication flow is like this: the user submit login credentials using the username and password, and the backend server validates the credential and generate a token back to the backend, and then store maybe in the browser or somewhere in the local storage or in the cookies. And every time when a user sends out HTTP request, the token will be automatically attached to the request for secured access. Next slide, please. So here is the very vital, important part of our manually created the role-based access control. So since previously, for example, if one user wants to certain kind of permission to a menu or button, and here comes another user, or maybe comes another user, maybe 10 user, 20 user, 10 user, and how many menus and permissions will be given to those users? That will be a very tall order, very difficult, right? So that's why we designed the authorization in this way. We give the user a role, assign the user a role, and we associate the role with different actions, which is allowed by the user. Once the user is hooked with the role and the menu is automatically, then action is automatically assigned with the user. Since the user and the relationship between the user and the role and the relationship between the menu and the role are many to many, so we also need a 2 mapping tables. One is the user role table. The other is the user role menu table. So next slide, please. So here's the authorization process. A user logs in the system, and we assign the user with 1 or multiple roles. Then the role is associated. We give the role permission, and for example, access several pages, and maybe can be allowed to access several buttons on a page. Will be later on shown in the later on videos. Next slide, please. Okay, here's 5 tables as I mentioned in the database design. So the very important part are the user role table and the role menu table. So these 2 join tables. Why these 2 join tables play a very important role is that it allows the user to get permissions through these tables. And once the user it allows the user to get the authorization and the permissions once the user logs in the system. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a small demo and show how it's done.
Okay, that's firstly, let's log in as a superadmin user, which is user 1. Okay, we have a user page here, and this is a role page, and this is the menu page, which we can give all the permissions and the right permissions on this menu. And the role page, we can perform any actions, add a role, and delete role or update role on this page. And for user page, we can add a user, delete a user, or update a user, or search a user. So as this superadmin user, we can assign some roles to other users. For example, let's give a teacher role to user 3. Okay. The role has been assigned. Let's jump to the role page. And for the teacher role, we give some permissions on this role. For example, we don't want this teacher to perform any actions on this menu page, but we give full access. Some access to the update or delete or search role, and some access to the role page here. Now for example, as we log in as a teacher role and we cannot see the menu page, and we can also cannot see the add button on the user page and also permission button on the role page. That's safe. Okay, let's see what happens when we log out. We log back in as a user 3. Oh, oops, sorry, the wrong password. Okay, we just log back in as a user 3, and we can see that the add button disappeared, which means that we cannot add any users on this page. For the role page, we cannot perform any actions on the permission button either. For the menu page, and we can see here, all the menus, the buttons are gone, so which means that we cannot perform any actions on this page. So this is the difference between the superadmin user and the teacher user. The superadmin has all the power. From here, from the role page, we can see superadmin has all the full power to CURD all the services on the system. But for the teacher, we can only allow some very limited permissions on this role. Lastly, I want to show you some other access control from the backend. Even though we log in as a user using the JWT token, but for the backend, we can, if we already give some permissions, limit some access to some roles. But from the backend, we cannot just access the backend either. Okay, that's for example, on this page. We get a token from the backend, from the front end, and we log in as a user 3. Okay, we log in as a user 3, successfully using this JWT token. supposedly we can access all the endpoints that we are allowed to access, but for example, for any user, this endpoint, if we execute this command, we can get the 401 status code, which means this perform is unauthorized, which means that our role-based access control, the policy not only enabled on the front end, but also enabled on the back end as well. So this brings the end to this demo.
I guess this is it. Let me hand over to Sharon.
Right, thank you, Michael. I'm going to demonstrate in details user lifecycle management and avatar operation part of our application. Let's start with the backbone of our system's security and design, which is JW authentication flow. So while authentication was previously covered, our implementation integrates JW tokens to enforce role-based actions across every user operation. When a user logs in, they receive a token that not authenticates them, but also encodes their assigned roles and cached permissions, ensuring zero database calling during subsequent requests. As for this part, this RBAC triad is central to our design. Every CRUD operation on users, whether creating accounts or assigning roles, is governed by the permissions tied to their role. For example, only admin with user at permission const user at in the backend can access the create user functionality. On the front end, our custom auth button component hides or disabled UI elements based on our cached permissions. But security doesn't stop there. Even if someone bypasses the UI, our backend endpoints with this authorized attribute, as shown here, enforces policy checks at the API levels. For dependency injection, we use Artifact for business logic, like user servers and after servers, while still relying on Microsoft building DI for infrastructure like the database context. In terms of the inheritance hierarchy, all user CRUD operations extends a generic CRUD service and its corresponding interface to maintain polymorphic flexibility in object-oriented programming. Next page, please. Next page. We also incorporate AWS S3 buckets to avatar file upload. Every avatar upload triggers a dual write operation. First to S3 for scalable cloud storage, then to our database for metadata tracking. But crucially, these operations are wrapped in a transactional scope to ensure that either both succeed or both roll back. This architecture ensures security is baked in every layer of the app, from UI buttons to database transactions. Now I'll show you a quick video to demonstrate a live operation in terms of the previous section that I've mentioned. Next page.
As user 2, which is our super admin, it will have the access to all the CRUD functions here, as long as their corresponding backend API. I'm only going to focus on update and add user functions, as they are closely related to our role assignment here. So I'm gonna use user 2 to create another user, let's say user 7, and fill in with all the informations here. Here is where we assign different roles to the user. Here I'm gonna give it only teacher 2. That means user 2 will have all the permissions that role teacher 2 has, and create user. And it will also be reflected in our database here. Oh, I've just added, as you can see, the ID changed. And if we want to update any information about user 7, we can do it here. Right now, I'm gonna give it 2 different roles. Let's say admin 2 and teacher 1 here, and it should be reflected in our join table immediately as well. As you can see, now user 7 has 2 different roles here. As for avatar file upload, let's sign out and log in as user 7 first. This is just the hardcode default image we have in our code base. Now, we're user 7. As you can see, it doesn't have any avatar. Oops. Login again. Yep. Click on profile, edit, choose file, give it this one, upload avatar. You can see upload successfully. Click on save. It doesn't reflect here immediately, but if we log out and log in again, voila, it will be reflected here. And that's it.
Here comes the CRUD operation on row table.
Before wrapping up, I'd like to demonstrate the create, read, update, and delete functionality for the row table. This is a basic yet essential feature. As you can see, we've already retrieved the admin and teacher roles from the database, along with their descriptions. For example, user with admin role can perform all the CRUD operations under every menu. Okay, next, let's create a new role. We can call it intern, and the description is can only view each menu without any other permissions. Create. Okay, there's a new role here. In fact, creating the role and its description is just the first step. After that, as Michael mentioned earlier, you have to assign specific permissions to that role for it to have any real privileges. Moving on, we can update the intern role we just created. Maybe we call it trainee, and the description is the same. Update. We can see the role name is trainee now. Finally, by selecting a role and click delete, we can remove it. And bulk deletion is also supported. Delete 2 rows. Okay. That covers the CRUD operations for the row section.
We are extremely grateful to Lily for guiding us over the past 3 months. At this point, I'll hand things over to Team 2. Felix will continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks,
No.
Andy. Let me just share my screen first. Good to go.
Yep. So we are Mooc team number 2, as we have 30 people, 20 people at the beginning. So
你先等等，因为是你这里有阴影挡住了 PPT，应该是Zoom 的阴影挡住了 PPT，你可能要调整一下分享。
我看一下，这个怎么害的呀？
可能在你的
我晒吧，我晒一下。
要不你来吧。
我晒吧。
第二屏幕。
可以看到我的屏幕吗？
可以。
可以。
OK。
没问题。
Yep, we are Mock team number 2, and I'm going to introduce my team members and our agendas. So first, our team members are me as team lead and Ray as BA. He's looking after our Jira tickets and the session and media part. Kwon is looking after the course instance part. Yang is looking after the course part, and Millie is looking after our Confluence and cooperate with Ray with the session media section. And Laura is in charge of the category. So I'm going to hand over to Yang, who is looking after the course session.
Hello everyone. My name is Yang. Today I'm here to present my work on the course management system for the Mooc platform. Our focus has been on developing the course functionalities, both on the front end using React and on the back end using .NET Web API. The key features include comprehensive CRUD operations for course, detailed course history tracking, and the ability to modify course details, including descriptions, images, and categories. These features provide users with a transparent and manageable course platform. The system modular design and clear API structure also ensure maintenance and future scalability. For the front end, I have designed a user-friendly interface with React. Codes are displayed as the interactive cards, providing a visual appealing overview. Clicking a card navigates to the course detail page, which showcases the course historical sessions. To further enhance the course discoverability, we have implemented a category-based filtering system. The users can now easily browse and filter the course by category. Yafei, please, can you click the mouse? Yeah. That allows a more efficient search experience. And also I implement because our category have multiple layers. To manage the multiple layer structure for the categories, I also implement a tree-like selection interface. This allows users to quickly browse and select categories when dealing with multiple levels. Next page, please. On the backend, I have implemented the .NET Web API to create a robust and scalable architecture. The database schema is carefully designed to manage courses and their relationships, utilizing details for data transfer and the interface for decoupling and enhance extensibilities. The controllers expose via different APIs to support the front-end needs, provide a seamless data flow and efficient management. Next, I will pass to the Yafei.
Right.
Yeah, hello. This is Ray. Thank you, Yang, for the course introduction. Now I will give an introduction to course content management, which including the different versions of the course and also the learning material. So let's first have a look at the course section. So in the section, this course. So we have the metadata in the description sections, which give introduction of this course, of course. And below that, it's different versions published in different dates. So the idea is when we design the app, we use a template, like we allow the user, like teacher or the admin, to design a course template. In this case, it's called React, which is kind of it's a reusable template. And at any time we need to publish a new version, we just use this template to give it some specific special details related to this course and just publish at that time. So make it a different version. If the next page, please. So if we go into a specific version of this React course, first is the details of the course, and below that, it's a list of the different sections, which is a chapter 2 of this course. And if you click on the section, we will see the videos uploaded by teachers. And we also set up the progress bar by using Signal, because Signal is a very modern technique offered by Microsoft. So it allows us to show the progress bar. It's calculated at the backend, and we use chunking skills, and after every chunk uploaded to the AWS S3 bucket, we calculate how much percent has been done, and send it back to the front end and show it here. So let me allow to share my screen, and I may do a demo for this function. So as you can see here, so if we come from the course, this is course template, and this is a description of the course, including the category, and then this is the different versions of it. If we go into this specific version, again, this is just the metadata, and then we can see different the sessions here. So we can edit them or uploading videos, but due to my internet band limited, I think the screen share doesn't work very well when I'm uploading the video. But let's give a try. Or this one. Yeah, I think that hopefully it was good. But if the video is uploaded successfully, we can review the videos as well. So the teacher could decide to use this content or not. And also you can add more chapters. So here's a new one, and you can still upload video. So this is a content management of this course. So next, let's move to let's welcome Yafi to give instruction of the following part. Thank you.
Okay, let me share the screen again. Okay. So in terms of the teacher part, the overview business logic is to assign teacher to a specific user and assign a course launched to a specific teacher. And then we are facing some challenges when we delete a teacher or delete a course launch from a teacher. So we need to get more information than just the teacher. So in the backend, we need to include more tables and access relevant data by using LinkQ. For example, use include it, then include something like that. And we also know that a teacher is linked to multiple course launches, and this make the deletion and the reassignment very tricky. And so removing a teacher or course launch could be very annoying sometimes. So to solve this problem, we use a middle table to track associations and ensure structured updates. We also use transaction as well, as mentioned from team 1, to manage our data to make sure the data integrate and during the deletion. So I'm going to do a quick share. I'm going to tell a quick story about a staff who work as an administration for the system. So Andy is our staff who just started his job in the morning. He opened his email and found this email talked that one of the staff is not working anymore, so we need to delete it. So he signed into our system and he went to teacher session and he found the staff who is named Lily. It's not active anymore. He's resigned, so he decided to delete it. Before he deleted the role, alert pop up and said, "Are you sure you want to delete this teacher?" And all the courses assigned to this teacher will be removed. And he checked the teacher detail, found okay, 2 courses assigned but all closed, which means it's pretty safe to delete this teacher. So he deletes this teacher and it's gone. And then the other email said, we have a new interview with teacher Lindy, student Lindy. She is fine to have to become a tutor for us. So he went to the database and found Lindy there and give this a tutor role, a tutor title, and some testing thing and room, and hire date is today, make it active as a teacher. And then the task is to assign this teacher a course because Lindy is pretty good at finance. So we're going to assign this course to the teacher. And then we found there's no available course under course launch under this course. So we need to create a course launch. And we go to this course launch, add a course launch as financial statement because it's opened. And we are going to make it public to let more people access to this course. As promotion, we can sell more course to the public. And the course will start from today and in 6 months. But accidentally, this Andy just put September 2024 in the table, and this should not be allowed, right? Yeah, because Formic and Yup can validate the data, so this is not allowed. So we change it back to 2025 and 2025 September, and this time should be published 03 2024 5. This should be working. Ooh. Okay. September. Yep. And then we go back to the teacher and assign Lindy a course instance. And done. So this is Andy's job done, so he can enjoy coffee after this. That's all for our our part. And any question? For the future, we are going to implement more functions. We are going to do some CI/CD, and also we need to optimize the radius to gain the performance of our server. And that is for today. Any questions?